All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna check out its local search and social and city search here. Both combined, see if they got BSS. And we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. Our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that pinned video, pinned post, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph in white down here. Highest intent people on the left is people using social search, Google search, searching for a boudoir photographer in their or boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. And as a result, they're we talk about them, BSS videos here. Over on the right, we got the lowest intent peeps. Talk about dealing with these or reaching these peeps on our sister channel, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And over there, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. Now, boudoir search sameness is BSS. It means a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots, page 1 on Google. 0 slots, page 1, we cannot have that. We're dying a fast death here because that means we're on page 2 or deeper. The reason that matters is we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. That's right, they're one and done only. They're page 1 and done only searches. So for our page 2 or deeper, we're visible to approximately 80% of the market, so the bulk of the market. 1 slot on page 1 is also not good enough. Everyone on page 1's got 1 slot. So, it's us and most likely 9 other boudoir photographers. We're looking the same, we're not standing out. So what a boudoir photographer is doing is they're actually clicking, everyone's link, open up everyone's website, every contact form, every whatever submission form, getting a quote, comparing prices, waiting, negotiating, why should they buy now, trying to get the most for the least, just wasting everyone's time. And most of these contact forms don't even convert anyway, so just waste. So business dies slowly in this case, only having 1 slot, page 1 Google search. And 0 1 slots, page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. That's common, it's accepted to have 0 1 slots, page 1 Google search, but it's not normal. Now, these 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows about this one. More peeps joining, basically peeps kind of naturally upgrade their gear over time, new iPhone, new camera. And as they get new gear, they're actually throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir, throwing up their website saying they're a boudoir photographer. They are, increasing basically the amount of times they post in the mom groups on Facebook saying they offer boudoir photo shoots. So all this is more sellers, more boudoir photographers for the same number of buyers, makes it harder for every other boudoir photographer in the market. This is market saturation. Then we have false belief, page 1 equality. Yeah, very few peeps know about this one. This is kind of like boudoir photographers naturally assumed that, they basically naturally assumed that each boudoir photographer gets, kind of just gets 0 1 slots, page 1 on Google, and that's how it is. Maybe they had their page 1 slot 7. That's how market saturation happened. Now they're, page 2 slot 2. I'm like, oh well, that's simply what it is. Hopefully those people delete their websites so Google can bring us back up onto page 1. But no, this is the 100% incorrect mindset to have. This kind of a wait and see mindset. 100% wrong. What's actually true is Google will give us as many page 1 slots on Google search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords as we want, or as we put in the effort to acquire. AKA, we actually show Google we want. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 to Google search in only 10 days. This new methodology we developed. So I know for a fact the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. And remember BSS, 0 1 slots, page 1 Google search for page 2 or deeper. I mean, we're dying a fast death. We're disappearing there for page 1 1 slot. We're dying a slow death. Both cases, we're disappearing boudoir photographer. And what actually happens is this kind of warning light, the warning flag, the check engine light, the canary in the coal mine that's telling us, hey, our boudoir photography business itself is now on the path to disappearing. But thankfully, we now have a solution. We've actually discovered that BSS, Boudoir search sameness, 0, 1 slots, page 1 Google search, is treated with social search saturation, aka SQ's methodology. And it works exactly like it says, social search saturation. We saturate social search with the highest intent Boudoir buyer keywords, so we show up there. And when we do this, it's kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains down there in South America, the eastern side, the backside of those mountains, where what happens is that snow melts, water drains into small streams, small rivers, and eventually it all flows, gets collected in the large Amazon River. Now, that is large Amazon River is page 1 Google search. That's exactly what it is. And we actually, so it all starts with the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains, because that all starts with the inputs. That's SQ methodology. We gotta get the snow up there first for it to then melt and actually, flow into the large Amazon River. Now, SQ methodology, it's the only solution I've seen that actually allows boudoir photographers to have a chance to still grow their business in the presence of massive market saturation. And in a relatively quick, give them that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. And the largest, kind of the only other solution I've seen that gives that same benefit, but not in a relatively quick time frame, is actually having a large, well-known brand. But again, dude, that takes like 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years, dude. AI's here, taking people's jobs. We don't have 5 to 10 years to build a brand. But what's interesting is SQ methodology, with my estimates, actually enables with boudoir photographer to build a large, well-known brand approximately 8x faster than standard methods, because we're seeing across so many different surfaces with much higher volume, much higher frequency, reaching much more of the highest intent people. And as a result, my estimate is, building that brand 8x faster to make market saturation matter even less. All right, so now an example. We are now going to, this will be a good one. We're now going to Bend, Oregon. And there's 1 million boudoir photographers there. And we are one of them. Everyone's got their websites and they offer boudoir photography. So it means page 1 Google search, ultra competitive with 1 million websites trying to rank there. And so we're like, all right, we ain't got no brand. We ain't got no time to create a brand. And so the only chance of us competing here is we actually got to be the first ones in our city to utilize S-Cube methodology. And as a result, let's say we crank it up to the max, like kind of way above anything the average boudoir photographer would do with S-Cube methodology. And let's say we're taking up the first 300 slots for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords across all of social search. And let's say that flows then onto Google. We're taking up the first 300 slots on Google for this highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. And it's 10 organic slots per page Google search. So dude, we're taking up like the first 30 pages. So guess what? If a boudoir buyer is searching for a, basically if a boudoir buyer is searching for a, boudoir photo shoot in their city, and as a result, they're looking on different, social media searches and Google searches, we're basically the only one they can find. We're taking basically the first 300 slots everywhere. So they can't really find any competing boudoir photographers. So they basically hit slot 301. That's page 31 on Google. I already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So dude, who the heck's hitting page 31? Basically no one. So if we're essentially the only person they can find, the only boudoir photographer they can find, whose business is still growing in this market? Most likely ours. Whose business is dying, vanishing, going away, becoming invisible in this market? Most likely the other 999,999 other boudoir photographers. And so this is an example of what S-Cube methodology could enable for a boudoir photography business in an ultra saturated market. Now, once you're with S-Cube methodology, we now have page 1 visibility, P1V. Initial benefits, we're getting more slots to page 1 Google search, but interestingly, every new slot we get page 1 Google search, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. Basically get to choose how many of our competitors go to page 2 and deeper, which means they're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. So a lot of boudoir photographers actually really like this initial benefit. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. And this is where the GBC universe recommends having, hitting the 3 out of 10 minimum for page one Google search. So hitting a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots. Because when we have that, we just get rid of the boudoir photographer on page one. We'll have 1 slot, but we'll have 3, so we'll be dominating them. In the ultra rare case, someone else has 2 slots. Well, again, we got 3 slots, so we're still ultra dominating. We're still dominating them. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So we got a disappearing boudoir. This is our micro universe here. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, which is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we have discovered a solution, S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. All right, now it's my results here. I'm going to dominate Google page one for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So what I did was started using S-cubed methodology, and let's see the results. So slot 1, we're getting slot 1 Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So literally going from 0 out of 10 slots, page one Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one Google search, in only 10 days, exclusively using S-cubed methodology. All right, we're at the main event here. Gonna check out this boudoir photography business. Looks like we're going to Ottawa, Ontario. Seeing if we got BSS for their city search or what. All right, so we're going to Ottawa. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Boom, we got one. Let's see. All right, so our results. So we got 1 out of 10 slots, page one Google search for city. City's always harder than local search. More competitors. So yes, we do have BSS, and we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots, page one Google search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer and you've done a local search for yourself, high intent keyword, as a buyer, saying you got BSS there, or you've done it at the city search, you may have BSS there, or you've seen for either of those, you're not meeting the GBC recommended of 3 out of 10 slots on page one, and you're seeing the S-cubed methodology is finally your one way to solve that, then you're also taking into account the false belief of page one inequality. Yeah, it's false, that Google wants to give us as many page one slots as we want to take and want to put in the effort to acquire. So S-cubed methodology is the path forward. And you understand market saturation, the 2 prongs, people getting new iPhones, people getting new cameras. And you like the initial benefits of S-cubed methodology, get more slots on page one, and also kicking competitors off page one, so you're on page 2 where you're basically never going to be price shopped against them. And you're liking all that. And with regards to market saturation, you're looking at, you've seen AI, it's going to be taking more and more people's jobs. And as that happens, you know more and more boudoir photographers are actually going to come flooding into the market. And as more and more boudoir photographers flood into the market, they're actually going to, increase the supply. And as we increase the supply of boudoir photographers, we're going to be, harder to compete page one, lowering the basically more supply, lower demand of page one. And as a result, you realize you got to kind of fortify page one against a new future big rush of boudoir photographers. So as you're doing that, well, you're saying, okay, S-cubed methodology is the only thing available to do that as well. And so you're liking all that. And you're also understanding that when we do S-cubed methodology, we're actually kind of building kind of these invisible thematic keyword columns. And as we build these invisible thematic keyword columns, what's happening is they're kind of like, columns of the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, or kind of like, hub and spoke kind of spokes attached, to our business hub. And what actually happens is we're increasing the mind share of the back end, the kind of the AI mind share. And every day we successfully do, we're going to higher and higher probability that we're going to rank here in the AI overview on Google. And we're also increasing the probability that we get recommended AI search as well. So this AI overview is really you know, basically a kind of a premium placement. But AI search, dude, AI search is awesome as well because more and more people are using AI search every single day. And so this kind of invisible momentum building up in the background, and you recognize, man, this will also help you build a brand approximately 8x faster. Kind of all these benefits combined, we're just showing up way more on everyone over time. And you're recognizing that it's better to, you decided you want to be a first mover on this because if you actually hop into this with your, you know, and you exclude all your competitors from using this, because my plan is to only work with this with one boudoir photographer in a city, then what actually happens is you're building up all this initial benefits and future benefits of making massive strides, massive progress against your competitors, kind of putting a big gap between you and them. As you put a big gap between you and them, it becomes harder and harder for them to ever catch up. And conversely, if someone else, some other competitor in your city came with you first, or came with me first, and we're able to build a massive gap on you, get all those initial benefits, what actually happens is you'd have to rederive S-cubed methodology on your own. You would not know if you've successfully rederived it 100% correctly or not. So then you'd actually have to go and run S-cubed methodology on your own and match our output to then kind of maintain the gap between your competitor and you. And you would have to, you'd actually have to then actually exceed our output to kind of catch us and close that gap. So you decide, screw that. You'd rather be you decide you're going to be the first mover and not have to deal with kind of someone overtaking your spots. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. Hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when we do open slots for new patients in the future, yeah, shoot a DM and we'll see if you qualify to utilize our S-cubed methodology.